we need to talk about the rocket launcher. So, earlier this week, the Violent Night update came out for Ultrakill, and along with Layer 7 came a few new weapon buffs, particularly the Freezeframe rocket launcher, which is what we're looking at today. So what's new? Well, previously, when a rocket was frozen, you could shoot it like that, and it would create an explosion. Now this explosion and damage is, as far as I can tell, identical to just a regular direct hit explosion on a grounded enemy. However, in the new update, if you shoot a rocket and it's frozen for more than 1 second, it becomes supercharged. And what that does is if we shoot it, it creates a much bigger explosion. Significantly bigger explosion, actually. And it does quite a bit more damage. For a bit of context, this is a core nuke. Previously, this was the biggest explosion that the player can make in the game. Now this is a freeze frame shot. As you can see, it's pretty much the exact same radius. Now, granted, the core nuke does do a bit more damage than a freeze frame shot, as you can see here. But when you consider what core nukes are really used for, they're used for taking out big hordes of fodder enemies. And a frozen freeze frame rocket still one-shots almost every fodder enemy in the game. So, for the purposes of a nuke, a freeze frame is just way more cost efficient, because when you think about it, a core nuke costs an entire rail cannon charge, which takes 15 seconds to cool down, whereas the only thing that freeze frame shot costs is a little bit of freeze frame time, which charges back pretty quickly. And this also allows you to do something like this. You can chain multiple rockets together to create a nuclear minefield. That's just shooting it with the default pistol. We can go bigger. What if we shot it with a malicious rail cannon? Now again, for context, this is the previous biggest explosion in the game. Core nuke shot with a malicious rail cannon. This is a frozen supercharged rocket shot with a rail cannon. As you can see, a little bit bigger. Just a slight bit bigger. This explosion actually is large enough to cover the entire Cybergrind arena. Now, granted, this update also introduced a change where explosions can't damage enemies through walls, but if you shoot this in an open area, you can just delete all fodder from the map. And there's a drawback to this, because fodder are probably one of the most safest, reliable sources of healing, especially in the Cybergrind. And it also does cost a rail cannon charge, which when you're only left with like the big enemies who aren't killed by that, you're going to want a rail cannon charge to be able to take care of them. And somehow it doesn't stop there, because the Violent Night update also introduced a new enemy called the Gutter Tank, who, if you've read the terminal entry for these guys, you probably know where I'm going with this. These guys use the same kind of rockets that V1 uses. They share all the same properties, including the fact that they can be frozen. So let's activate this guy. We just freeze his rocket. They also get supercharged, and you can also blow them up for a massive explosion. There is a limitation to this. The Gutter Tank's frozen rockets can't actually do self-damage to the Gutterman itself, as you can see here. Even sticking a magnet on it to attract their own rockets back to them doesn't work. But I mean, still, it can kill everything else. So yeah, it doubles as a defensive tool, as well as one of the best offensive tools in the game. So in the weapon's current state, I would probably class this as V1's most powerful weapon by a pretty significant margin. It's an insane amount of damage output for the cost of basically nothing. I would not be surprised if this gets patched very soon. This video might already be outdated. So in the inevitability of that happening, let's just enjoy this while it lasts, because this is just insane, man.